Sounds sexy because now entrepreneur is a thing.
Right.
Yeah, many years ago, during my time, you are an entrepreneur. I think my grandmother would tell me,
Oh, really?
no lah, you rather go and work in a
Study
bank.
hard, be a banker.
Yeah. Actually, this is exactly what my
Congratulations, you made it.
Congrats.
Yeah.
So I've known Bernard for quite a while. During the early years, he even need to put on mascot,
consumer.
mascot, right? Just to save costs and run the business, right?
Yeah. Then when you're going overseas, I think my advice is you forget that who you are. Drop all your egos, all your pride back in Singapore.
Yeah.
Go there, start fresh. This is what every time I tell myself. When I go to a new country, I'm a nobody.
So hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Woke Salaryman podcast. And today we're actually at, you can see like Jinjja chicken, because we're going to talk about SMEs and particularly things like inflation, expanding overseas, also digitalization. And to that end, we have two guests with us. We have Bernard Tay and also Paul Khan. So maybe one by one we intro ourselves. Maybe Bernard, you intro yourself first.
Hi, I'm a managing director of Jinjja Chicken. Jinjja have been around about 9 years in Singapore, and we have 15 outlets in the region.
Hi, I'm Paul from UOB. I'm the country head for Business Banking Singapore. I look after the SME, particularly the small business segment for UOB.
And maybe you can talk a bit about also like what's the kind of food that Jinjja chicken does.
So Jinjja Chicken, we are a QSR, quick service restaurants. We are serving urban Korean food. We are not a traditional Korean restaurant. So we follow the trend. We bring in the latest street food from Korea to Singapore.
Right. So they do things like Korean fried chicken, jjajangmyeon, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What does quick serving restaurant mean actually?
Quick service restaurants have no...
The service very fast.
The food comes pretty fast,
Right.
but there's no 10%. There's no service charge, and GST is included.
I see. So a lot of issues to touch on, but this is based on a study that UOB did called the Business Outlook Studies, and in a more specific sense, like Bernard will share about what Jinjja Chicken is doing and some of the challenges that they face, and also Paul can share with us some of the more like macroeconomic and also like broader SME trends that he has observed from his role at UOB lah. So maybe as a general introduction first, like to kick things off, like how has things been, Bernard, since like pandemic? Because we heard in the pandemic, like FnB businesses are so hard hit and stuff. So is it like fully recovered now?
Fully recovered, yes, I can say that a lot of tourists is coming back to Singapore. However, inflation kicks in a lot, so things are getting more expensive. I think you when we go to hawker center, we go to food courts, restaurants, the price are getting more expensive. People start to spend, but they are careful in their spending. They don't dare spend freely. Before COVID, everyone's like, a meal to them is okay. Now they tend to think a bit. We ask them to top up. When COVID hits, the transportation went up, shipping costs went up.
On your side, Paul, like, have you observed any of these like macro trends? Is it the same for every industry that you kind of have seen so far, you think?
Right, as you mentioned, right, we did the 2024 Business Outlook study. We observed 3 trends. First, concern around inflation, rising cost. I think Bernard correctly pointed out, everything now is expensive. The other one is digitalization, right? More and more industry, they move into digitalization, and all the players inside the ecosystem just need to join the bandwagon, right? The third part is overseas expansion, right? More and more people are looking out, right, in terms of expanding their revenue, right, while cutting or maintaining their costs. Exactly what Bernard has done, right?
So maybe let's dive into some of the challenges that we face. So maybe the first thing we can talk about is inflation, because that is probably the biggest word that everybody's talking about, and it probably affects everybody. So maybe from the Jinjja chicken side, how has it affected your...
So we order raw material from overseas, from Korea. Shipping
your chicken is from Korea?
No, the sauces, certain sauces are from there.
Right.
So inflation went up. One of the reasons went up the price because shipping is very difficult to book one slot to ship over. So the logistic chain price went up a lot.
What slot? You're saying what
That means you want to book for a container to ship material over to Singapore.
Well, are you handling that stuff yourself? Like
Yeah.
actually booking the containers lot?
No, we have an agent doing for that. For
Right,
us,
right.
yeah. But we need to understand that why there's a delay and why the cost went up so much.
Right.
Yeah, because everyone is buying from overseas. So during COVID time, certain country locked down. So that country don't sell, for example, flour. So we had to go to other countries to source for flour. So of course, when the demand went up, the supply is still the same. The price went up,
Yeah.
and shipping also logistics also went up because everyone will ship out from that country. Yeah. So naturally the inflation come in from there.
I think recently in the news also it shows that Singapore used to be able to clear containers very fast, but now it takes like 7-8 times more longer. So like there's actually a big jam, or there was a big jam outside the Singapore Strait. I mean, if you live near East Coast Park, which some of us do, there are a lot of ships there, and like it has affected Singapore's reputation as like a very smooth hub as well.
Right. Oh. Right. So to that end, like, how about manpower? Because you probably rely on a lot of manpower. How many like people do you have on your team, so to speak?
Currently, Jinjja have about 150 to 160 staff. Yeah, and
Globally?
no, only
in Singapore?
Only in Singapore.
Wow.
Only in Singapore. So yes, inflation really prevents some workers coming in from Singapore because the rental went up also. One of the rental went up. Yeah, so they find it's very expensive to come Singapore to work. Yeah, so no choice. We have to find other ways.
So pre-COVID, like the workers from across the causeway, Malaysians, right?
Yeah.
They would live and rent in Singapore and then work in the restaurants. But
Yes.
I guess now because like rental is so high,
Yep.
even if they work in Singapore, earn Singapore salary, you rent already, then most of that money is gone
Yes,
because of the
yes.
rent market.
Main bulk of the money will go to the rental. So what they do is some of them travel to and back, which I find is very
Very tiring.
tiring. Yeah. I really hard pain for them, but we try our best to provide them lodging.
How about hiring Singaporeans? Okay, I mean, I know like the reputation, like Singaporeans are hard to hire in the FnB space, but do you think this is still true?
It's tough. A lot of Singaporeans, especially students from the culinary schools, when they come out, they rather try to be an entrepreneur. They try to open up their own cafes here and there. They will never want to work in a QSR environment. Yeah.
Wait, but
Sounds-
why not? It's okay. I mean,
Sounds sexy because now entrepreneur is a thing.
Right.
Yeah, many years ago, during my time, you want to set up an entrepreneur, you are an entrepreneur. I think my grandmother would tell me,
really?
yeah, like no lah, you rather go and work in a.
Is it like that last time, Paul?
In a
Study
bank.
hard, be a banker.
Yeah. Actually, that's exactly what my
Congratulations, you made it.
Congrats.
Yeah.
So over time, the concept changed, right?
Yep.
No longer wanted to be a professional job, right? We want to be entrepreneur like Bernard.
True. Yeah.
Of course, there are like challenges to doing that, right? Starting a cafe. Like,
Yeah.
I think
The risk is high. Like,
risk is high,
investment.
capital cost is expensive, and then I think if you don't have like a unique selling point,
Yep.
you shut down. I think early on you were sharing with us before we started this interview, like a lot of cafes shut down every year.
There's a lot of cafes shutting down every year. First, because they are not familiar with the F&B industry. They don't understand what the customer wants. So they always have their own dream and concept. But this is not the customer wants. So I think most of the time, as an entrepreneur, you need to understand what your customer wants and needs first before you plan your menu.
Right.
Not you plan what you want to sell. You need to plan what they want and needs. So students, last time before inflation, before COVID, I can find a lot of students. Nowadays, after it's quite tough to get. I still have, but not so much. But probably first come from parents that they find that working in F&B industry, you don't learn much things and there's no future. Yeah, I think it's a kind of mindset. It's a kind of mindset like doing in F&B, like why not you go to internship in a bank?
Right.
Yeah, you learn more things and that. But I think it's not about where you work. It's about experience.
Yep.
How you handle customers, how you work in a fast-paced environment, work in a hot environment, how you handle your colleagues' relationship.
Yeah.
I think that's life changing.
Probably if you don't even intend to do F&B in the future, you can learn so much about
Yes.
customer service, sales, and things like that from
Yes.
this kind of experience.
Yeah.
I think probably what the parents are doing, they're just looking at like the tangible aspects of the job, but they're not considering the intangibles.
Yeah.
I think one of the best experiences I did when I graduated from secondary school. I went to work. I went to sell like cable TV.
Oh.
Last time I got cable TV.
I didn't know you did this.
Yeah, then I will go like door to door and knock in like Hougang HDB flats, right?
Door to door is
Then
brutal,
like
right?
people just reject you all the way.
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
also
yeah.
learned how to speak to strangers. I learned how to deal with like rude people. I remember like like failure is not like not, rejection is not personal, that kind of thing. And I think like working in a fast food environment, right? We'll do that for a lot of young kids.
Can I add one point, right?
Yeah.
So I've known Bernard for quite a while. I know during the early years, he even need to put on mascot,
costume,
mascot,
yeah.
right?
Wow.
Just to save cost and run the business, right?
Yeah.
So I can also provide a very interesting insight from my portfolio. So during COVID years, we talked about COVID just now. We have seen 30% of FnB really just closed down overnight. Over the last
30%?
3-0.
Wow.
Yep. But at the same time, interestingly, we have about 15% new FnB entrants. That shows it's a very dynamic industry. Things happen very fast, come and go. Right, so I admire Bernard that perseverance. So many years, and to his skill today. Yeah.
Right. Actually, then I think that's a good segue to say digitalization, because I think some businesses try to kind of like solve that or help that is by digitalizing, you know. So for example, things like payroll, accounting, invoicing, and things like that. And you also mentioned like digitalization of like your business expenses and the accounts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess in Singapore, like because manpower cost is quite high, right? You can only hire like a few people per restaurant. I guess digitalization really helps in that aspect. I mean, Bernard, I guess like what kind of digitalization have you kind of done at Jinjja?
So UOB have been my first bank when I start Jinjja Chicken, and they've been helping me a lot, especially in the financing way, and also over the years they supported me a lot. So I'm very grateful with UOB. Digitalization actually helped me to have all the numbers at my fingertips actually. It's really helped me because I travel quite a lot. So when I'm not back in office, when my accountants need some numbers or need me to send some approval, I can straight away approve. Last time I need to go back to the office, they give me sign some checks here, and nowadays are all under PayNow, TT. It's so fast, and it also actually help us in a way that we can do our accounting in faster way because everything is in soft copy. Last time you need to wait for hard copy here and there, photocopy. No, everything is soft. Yeah, so I'm quite glad that UOB have digitalized in such a fast pace, and also help us to ease our operations. Yeah.
So based on the UOB like business outlook studies, they also said that like 8 out of 10 businesses and SMEs have actually like taken efforts to digitalize. So it's becoming a very common thing.
Yep, definitely a trend that we observed. In fact, today we have a suite of management solutions. We call it BSmart.
BSmart.
So BSmart is an integrated platform whereby you can find a lot of useful digital tools that we offer to a lot of SME owners, including exactly to what you said, payroll, accounting, inventory management, etc. The sign up is annual double-digit growth. That's what we have seen. So that shows the importance of business owners, right, taking steps, no matter how small, the first step towards digitalization journey.
I guess for us, because we started on social media, right? So we're a bit spoiled. We're like a digital first business.
Yeah.
So we cannot imagine the idea of like, people going through like paper invoice.
Yeah.
Like in a non-integrated system here and there.
I mean, a filing system.
Confirm messy one.
Yeah.
You do something, then IRAS come catch you like 2 years later. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure it happens. But I guess as a gauge, right? Like, if not for, let's say, digital solutions, like how many more people will you have to add on your payroll?
Wow, at least 3 in my
How
accounting.
big is your core team actually?
My core team in HQ is about 10.
Well, only 10.
8 to 10.
Oh, that's
yeah.
quite lean.
Wow.
Yeah, we keep it very lean. That's the way to survive in FnB. Starting off is tough for startup in Singapore. So everything must cut. Yeah, not everything must spend. Everything must cut. You spend it at the correct place, but you must cut at a certain place.
I mean, nowadays, for FnB outlet, now there's a lot of like the scan e-menu thing, right? And I think if you don't do that, if you don't do that, sometimes it's like a big barrier. Not big barrier, it's a barrier in attracting customers. For example, sometimes for myself, if I if I want a place that can't they don't accept like cashless payment or I have to use cash, it makes me sometimes not want to go there.
Actually, a bit paiseh to say, but it actually is a barrier, right?
Yeah.
Like you look in the restaurant, don't have, then maybe don't.
Yeah. So I think adapting to technologies really get us closer to the consumer. Yeah,
Right.
this is what they want, and they want it to be seamless because a lot of the time, their wallet don't have cash. I mean nowadays I don't go and draw cash from ATM or here and there.
Yeah.
I don't carry a lot of cash.
He
So
also, I don't. He
so
often don't carry cash.
we use card or use
Yeah.
PayNow, and it's all I think more of the digitalization from bank side. Yeah.
So is it last time when you got like wait staff, they kind of like take your order. So now what do the wait staff do?
Sorry, waste time.
Yeah, like waiters.
Waitress.
Oh, waitress,
Ah,
yeah.
waiter, yeah.
So for me, but because I'm a QSR, so
Yeah.
you go to the counter and order.
There's a kiosk, right? You
Yeah.
just tap
So I have
yourself,
a
right?
so the other way is that we do this self ordering kiosk like what my other competitor doing. It speed up the process. Consumers sometimes don't want to interact so
Yes,
much
yes,
with
yes.
humans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like that also.
Yeah. So especially the younger generations,
Right.
they because maybe they're listening to something, they are watching a video, so just click, something faster pace for
Right.
them.
Actually, there's a fun fact because someone said that because of COVID, right, a lot of people live in a period of isolation
Ah.
for some time.
Yeah.
So now like their social skills are a bit like
Yeah.
a bit not
True,
so great,
true,
lah, which is
true.
why they
Right.
prefer to interact
Yeah,
via screen.
yeah, true.
But do you miss any aspects of like the old?
The old days.
Yeah,
of
the
like-
old days, the good old days where there were waiters and stuff. I mean, as a student, like I used to make money being a waiter.
Actually, both your. Yeah, I think both your.
yeah, both, yeah, because you are of the right vintage to comment on this matter.
Oh, vintage.
Yeah.
No, I when I visited his outlet, I enjoyed the
This
so-called
one,
this
e-menu
kind of,
lah, right?
e-menu,
E-menu
right?
ordering,
And
yeah.
ordering over the kiosk, right?
Right.
But maybe sometimes, right? I go to a restaurant, especially when I need some advice of what food
Advice.
to
Oh, right.
order.
yes,
Yeah,
What
new-
would you
new-
recommend
new-
to the
new-
restaurant?
New dish, right?
Right.
Probably something can't be really digitalized.
Very personal.
Very
Right.
personal.
I guess it makes sense if you're like in a fancy restaurant, right? Then you pay like 3 digits per bill.
Yeah.
It'll be weird to scan, right?
Yeah,
Someone should
yeah.
come. What's the special today?
Yeah.
We flew in this thing from this place.
Yeah.
But then if it's just like quick simple meal, I just want to eat it and then go back to work. Yeah, then cashless payment is the way to go.
So I think I miss things like I go back to a restaurant where I always visited.
They know you, right?
Yeah,
they
they know
your
me.
order.
Yeah, and they will start to discuss how's your kid, something very personal. How's your kid? Then I'll ask him how is your kid, your family, So I just went to this holiday. These are human interactions, and I think it's more friendly, and you feel that you're at home. Then before that, your own feeling, the emotion is very different.
Yeah, it's different.
It's like going to a friend's house to have a meal. I feel this way. So
Yeah.
when the meal will come in a different form, and say, hey, I know you don't like so much chili, I reduce for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like the morning coffee, like even
Yeah,
though I go
exactly.
to Toastbox, for example, or like any franchise like breakfast coffee shop, the people sometimes will remember and
Yes.
they know your order.
Yeah.
Because some people order very complex, siu tai this or whatever.
Yeah.
But they remember it's a
Something
nice
sweet,
personal touch,
something
lah.
like, it's a personal touch.
True,
Actually, that happened to me yesterday. Right, I was at City Square Mall. I ordered my drink. That someone said, "Oh, is it to Taobao?" But then the cashier said, "No, he's eating here."
Right.
Because like
They
she
predict,
remembers my
yeah.
order every day. Yeah.
Yeah. Something nice about
so that's
it.
quite
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
But maybe also just maybe one more question about digitalization to both of y'all. Like, what are some of the challenges when it comes to like digitalization, especially from like a first business, kind of thing? Is there some difficulty there, or maybe a lot of SME businesses might not want to do that kind of
Or
thing?
maybe even like very traditional business.
Yeah.
Because like since the benefits are so good, right? Like what is the main barrier in?
Now, why don't more people do it?
Yeah.
Maybe I start first, then Bernard can add on. Sometimes business owners don't know where to start. For example, they don't have in-house talent to really start to talk about or think about digitalization. They need to look for some consultant or
Right.
advisor outside.
mentorship kind of thing,
mentorship.
right?
And then sometimes, for example, lacking in some funding. For example, they don't know where could they get, say, grants from
Yeah.
government,
Yeah.
right? So there are a lot of help outside, just that they might not be aware. So another thing is starting is always the so-called
Hardest step.
the mindset, right? The inertia to take the first step. So just like I mentioned, really, no matter how big or small, just do the first step, right? It can be as simple as banking needs, right? And some of the accounting, payroll, what have you, or that, business needs, right? Can be digitalized related to the banking world, right? So that is actually a start. So I think challenging, but definitely have to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when we create content about SME owners in Singapore, right? I mean, often we get a whole bunch of people complaining about their boss that don't want to do digital solution, or they will get like consultants in, pay a lot of money, but then in the end never implement for some reason. And then like, when the employee tries to do it themselves,
Resistance.
yeah, the reason I don't want to do. So sometimes, for some reason, a lot of SME owners, according to our viewers, I now say please don't cancel me. It is like sometimes the company need to spend a lot of money, then they can have their mind changed. But actually, like, change doesn't need to cost so much. Like, change can be just one person in accounting doing something different.
I think human resistance is one of the key thing. Yeah, especially HQ talents. They are very resist to change because they are worried. Actually, they are okay to change, but they are also worried that if I change to this way, if I have certain audit, what will happen? See, because nobody had did it before in my office. So sometimes once in a while we will go and consult UOB to say that, hey, if these things can be done, so because they have seen so many, they have so many SMEs, they will tell me that, oh, this particular industry is going in this way, and they are not having facing issue. So it gives us some
like a broad perspective.
broad perspective, and with some guts to say, okay, since everyone is moving in this direction, we should do it together, you see. So it also gives us confidence in moving forward in digitalization in a way.
I think one thing I want to add is that actually going digital, right, it's like a fantastic way to attract like Gen Z and millennial talent. Because if I had to do paper invoice, I have to do the old-fashioned way in a company, then what will happen is like it will take up like 60% of the work I'm doing.
Yeah, the time.
Then only 40% I'm focused on my own career. Then in the long term, I also don't want to be in this place. I'll go to a company that actually embrace it.
Yeah.
Then for your company, you get like the not so good talent, right? And then the not so good talent produce not so good results, and then like it's a vicious cycle because you can't attract good talent after that, and it just goes down this way as well.
Is there a natural kind of like resistance when it comes from that kind of perspective? When you've been doing something for so long this kind of way, like, is there a cost to not digitalizing, for example?
I mean, cost to know this.
Yeah, if you don't do it, even though you feel that subtle pressure, but it probably gets like more and more pressurized. Like people say, why do you have this? Why do you have that?
Yeah.
Right? Like, is there a growing cost of not digitalizing?
I think speed is one thing. I think and the requirements from others company is one thing, because nowadays we don't send out our invoice to other companies.
Right.
Yeah, and as when for Jinjja, like when we're dealing with malls or with a lot of other suppliers, all the invoice are e-invoice.
Right.
Yeah. So if you don't do it, people will find that you are very slow in certain ways. Yeah, and they don't get used to it. So I think that's the cost, one of the causes. Yeah, and it slow up the speed of doing things. Yeah.
Your office probably don't have fax machine, right?
No, definitely not.
Well, I think what Bernard describes known as the network effect. Like once like enough people get on the network,
yes.
the whole market will start to turn.
Yeah.
So sometimes for a lot of like change in processes, right? Like I think a company can coast on like old practices for a very, very long time, right? And they may even be lulled into like a sense of complacency, like, oh, this is the way to go. But eventually when the market turns, they will fall behind very, very fast.
Yes, you're right.
And I think that's how it is.
It's like change comes slowly first, but then all at once when it hits that point.
So when 90% of the market is doing e-invoices, then you are still doing the thing, well then you GG already.
Yeah. People don't even want to connect with you sometimes.
What do you mean?
No, because if they only accept e-invoice.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It's a bit like a customer saying, hey, no pay with
Yeah.
So it also affects businesses.
Yeah, it's same. Yeah.
This is interesting because you are just talking from B2C, right? From FnB to a customer.
Yeah.
Actually, from a banking to customer, we also face the same thing. In the past, so a lot of our engagement with the people, business owners or consumers, more manual at
Face to
times.
face, right? Go down to the bank queue.
Yes, at the branches, etc.
Yeah.
But of course, COVID came, accelerated a lot of digitalization, right? And for example, now if I put an application on the mobile
Right.
or online, actually there are a lot more downloads and so-called application that
Like sign-ups,
yeah, sign-ups, a lot more. So which is a phenomenon that you don't see in the past.
True,
Right? So
right.
exactly as what Bernard is saying, even banking,
Yeah.
we need to adapt.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
cost of not turning to digital.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
And we now, as I said, we put a lot more investment. Now budgeting time. So we are going to set aside a little bit of money so that we can also invest more
R&D,
to
lah.
help R&D, yeah, to help SME business owners to so-called access again to financing needs, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
More
I actually think, yeah,
seamlessly.
banks probably is really on the cutting edge of digitalization in terms of how virtual or how digital do you go? Because people, especially the older folks, still like face to face. Like if you call the number and it's not a real person, they get annoyed very quickly. But you also don't want to waste everybody's time with one person picking up the phone every time.
Yeah.
You know? So the way of like how much do we do the automated thing first, where you press 1, 2, 3, 1 for this, 2 for that.
Yeah.
That is probably like something that y'all must be constantly tweaking. To see where that level
Especially
is, you know.
the more basic banking needs.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
to put it digital or online.
Yeah.
Right?
Loss of credit card,
correct,
everything, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Transaction dispute, that kind of
Yes,
thing.
yes. So the complex one, of course, we have the
A person.
network, a person to really talk to the customer to understand more. But the journey is a must.
I think this is not just a Singapore thing. Actually, in some ways, like the countries around us, or even like let's say China, they move very very fast in e-payments. And I think like this is affecting like the whole region. I mean, not just Singapore. Also.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, recently I went to like Vietnam. Even like the roadside store, they also use their
Oh.
own version of their
Right.
QR code.
Right.
So yeah, I think change is happening. And but I guess since we're talking about like the region as a whole, I heard like a lot of businesses nowadays are also looking into overseas expansion.
Jinjja have been around overseas for the past 5 years. Yeah.
So before COVID,
Before
already
COVID,
overseas,
yeah,
right?
we are in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Brunei now. Yeah, we are expanding into China and Vietnam. So we are blessed in a way that Jinjja have a very strong ops team, which they can help us to do expansion overseas. So going to overseas from a Singapore brand, it really helps a lot. So our Singapore forefather actually do a very good job. That when you come to Singapore, they will think that wow, it's quite a
Oh, you're talking about from the POV of you having something established here already going overseas.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like wow, they have it in Singapore and now it's coming.
Yeah,
out
yeah.
to-
Oh, really?
Correct. So when especially tourists in Singapore, they say Jinjja and Jewel. And when
yeah.
if I going to open one in overseas, they say, wow, I
It's the
saw
one
this.
at the fountain there, right?
Yeah. So you see that, you are in Jewel, so so they
It's
have
a legitimacy, lah.
Yes,
Like, wow, legit
yeah,
one.
yeah, like
Right.
confirmation, something like that. So it really helps us a lot in building our brands up. Yeah.
So I'm hearing like there's like a certain brand credibility if you're coming from Singapore lah.
Yes. Yes.
Is that what you see also?
Yep, and it reflected in the business outlook study that we did. Right, more than 80% is looking at some form of overseas expansion.
Right.
Actually, in our bank, we have this mission to become the one bank for ASEAN, connecting small and big businesses right within ASEAN and with Greater China. A lot of work that we do is beyond financing needs of customers. For example, we help business owners to connect with local
networking,
players,
yeah.
networking, right, to help them to grow and expand.
Yeah.
This is what we do a lot, right, in UOB.
Yeah, because like Southeast Asia, I think is uniquely difficult because it is we are close to each other, but culturally is so different. Sometimes economically also.
Yep.
So is that a big problem? Like, how do you overcome this kind of challenge when you expand in Southeast Asia specifically?
Educate. I mean, first of all, you need to educate the style of we handling our food. The how we cook our food is very different. Yeah, you're right. Culture is the main thing, which I mentioned. Their mindset also. We need to change their mindset. It take a while, but I think they are willing to change because we say that we have done this. It's successful in Singapore,
Right.
And they think, okay, they are more willing to accept.
So you need to change the formula a bit, but you tell them, but we got formula lah.
Yeah,
We kind of
yeah,
know
yeah,
how
yeah.
roughly to do.
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify, this is the mindset of the customer or is it the
I think like more like behind the scenes, right? That's
Yeah,
what you mean,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
The
staff,
manpower.
the manpower.
Right.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the front customer side, when it comes to like menu adaptation, do you do things like that?
Yes, we do. We do change. We try to digitalize in overseas, but some of the countries we are not doing that because it's not a culture to use self-ordering
Right.
kiosks.
Right.
They find very weird that I don't talk to a waiter or waitress.
Right.
Yeah, so I can't digitalize in other countries.
Right.
But you mentioned you went to Vietnam. They use the thing, so they are catching up here and there. So they will digitalize in other countries soon, but you have to pace the country's technology.
Right.
Yeah.
But how about things like the menu item? Like, do you change a certain flavor profile for this market? That kind of thing?
We do
that?
localization for franchisee overseas, but it's up to 10 to 20%. Yeah,
Right.
we can't totally. I give you a classic example. If you go to overseas, a cheeseburger in McDonald's it tastes almost the same. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You can't change too much.
Because you need
Right.
a brand, right? Yeah, you
Yeah.
need a standardization.
Yeah.
You know, everywhere I walk into a Jinjja chicken, there will be like this menu item that
Yes,
everyone-
yes.
Consistency, right?
Yeah.
So they may have some other menu items that are different, but McChicken must be
Yeah.
McChicken, right?
This style. So in
Right.
McDonald's Singapore, there's chili and ketchup, but you go US, there's no chili.
Yes.
Yeah.
We went Philippines and the McDonald's got rice. The
Yes,
rice and chicken.
So they
right?
localize about 50-30%, but not everything.
Right. Oh, interesting.
Then how about like, because in Singapore, let's say labor is expensive, like what, is it the same you find like in Southeast Asia as well?
Southeast Asia, manpower is cheaper. Yeah, they are also maybe they are not culinary trained in a way, so it takes us longer time to train them up. But they are very willing to learn. Yeah.
So my friend who also runs a restaurant, he said like the roles there are more specialized. So for example, you have someone doing something and
Yes.
another one doing something. Like what's that like for your business?
Same. In overseas, when they focus on cooking noodles, they are cooking noodles. But in Singapore, we need to be multitask
Yeah.
because manpower is expensive. Yeah, so one person you can cover the other person. If he is going on break, I can do 2 to 3 stations. But in overseas, they are what you say. They're more specialized. They can focus more in their job. Yeah.
Does the availability of labor also like make you? Is it less of an incentive to digitize? Because since labor is more affordable, then maybe you don't need to do like
Yep.
digital solutions so much.
Yes, it's one of the key that franchisees are not willing to digitize. Yeah, because they got more manpower in Singapore compared to the rest. So they have a bit of resistance, and digitalization in overseas are more expensive. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, it's more expensive because Singapore have a lot of grants from the governments. Yeah, and it actually pushes up to do this, to take a step. And with the bank's help, we can do it faster and more secure way. But in overseas, sometimes they have resistance because they don't see necessary because the whole industry is not doing it. Then why should I do it?
So it's also like what you say, you push a bit, but you also have to kind of see where the culture is.
Yes.
right?
So we take it slowly at a step.
Yeah. Also because you cannot expect to take the Singapore way and just plonk it.
Yes,
there, right?
yes.
Yeah. Must be respectful of like everyone's culture.
Yes.
What the market wants to do and stuff.
Yeah.
Then Paul, from your POV, right, do you find that like businesses or SMEs are sometimes either too eager or not eager enough to go like overseas? Because it seems like for us as a SME that is digital first, it's a very scary thing to start to do. But like where is usually the SME kind of like, I don't know, risk profile at when it comes to this kind of thing?
I guess SME at some point of their growth journey, overseas expansion is definitely one on the agenda. They may not pursue right now, but definitely is in their work plan, right? Probably to your point, they will delay, but if they want to grow, they probably need to really think about outside Singapore. Of course, on that note, right, UOB, we do have extensive network in the ASEAN region, and we could help, more SME to bring the Singapore flag, go overseas.
Yeah.
We have local expertise to really provide some of the advisory businesses, and our digital capability already allow a lot of business owners to so-called overcome the cross-border challenge in
Right.
transactions.
Right.
So I believe giving the right push, within business owners, the bank, and even our government also eager to push Singapore brands overseas. The more and more businesses would really embark on the journey.
At some point, it might be that you really should consider expanding overseas because there's only so much you can do in the
Locally,
Singapore
yeah.
market.
Yeah,
Because the size of the market is just the size of the market, right?
It's like an American restaurant, like only want to stay in New York. There's a limited amount of how it can grow.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
because Singapore is a city state, it's a very unique problem to Singapore because we're one of the few unique, one of the few city states in the world. So if you only want to stay in Singapore, then this is what you'll be, lah.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Yes. So maybe I think that's a good note to sort of end on, like
Okay.
sort of like talking about maybe budding SME owners or like existing SME owners that have thought about maybe expanding overseas. Like maybe both of you can answer this. Like what is some kind of general advice that you might give to somebody who's thinking about whether they want to go overseas or not?
I think your company must be stable in Singapore. You know, I think your ops team must be stable first.
yes.
Yeah, your financial must be strong enough. You know, and you must enough talent to do it. Then when you're going overseas, I think advice is you forget that who you are. You start from fresh. Yeah, drop all your egos, all your pride back in Singapore.
Yeah.
Go there, start fresh. This is what every time I tell myself. When I go to a new country, I'm a nobody. You know, nobody knows Jinjja, nobody know who we are. So let's go back to basic. You know, provide the best food, best meal, provide the most best dining experience in Jinjja.
Listen to the customer.
And listen to the customers.
Right.
Then do fine tune.
Which is great because that's what you started the business probably feeling, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of business owners went overseas. They still bring they think no.
Oh, my brand is this, my brand is
Yeah.
that. Right?
I think we should sometimes forget
Humble.
about be more humble. Forget about this. Start fresh from every country.
Well, I think that's so true. Cause okay, so we're also doing like an ASEAN book tour. So sometimes I have fears like, wow, what if I go like Bangkok and then no one show up?
Yeah.
But
And
also,
that should be the assumption.
yeah, that's assumption.
No one
Like,
will know who
no
we
one
are.
will know who we
Yes.
are anyway. Let's just go there.
Try our best.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's great.
I think finding a good partner is key. Whether is it a business type of partner or the banking type of partners.
Or mentorship, somebody to guide you, right?
For example, banking, from my perspective, we don't just talk about financing needs, right? We more often than not nowadays talking about beyond banking, beyond financing. As simple as advisory of where to get grant. We talk about grant just now, right? And locally, you know, when you go overseas, right? And also talking about what are the red tapes, what to do, what not to, right? Banking partner that can give you that type of advisory, I thought is very, very important, right? Don't ignore that. Choose wisely,
Right.
in terms of the partners.
Right. So that was great. Thank you, Bernard and Paul, for joining us. And a lot of the insights that we talked about here actually can be found online. If you can just go to the UOB Business Outlook Studies 2024, we'll link it in the description also, so you can check that out. If you're interested in even more deeper insights about trends like SMEs facing when it comes to things like inflation, all the stuff we talked about, right? So so this is the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for watching the whole way. And if something happened to our business, like we try to go overseas, but then we never follow their advice, and then the work ceremony shut down, this will be the last podcast. So thank you so much for watching our last podcast, and thank you for being a guest on possibly, but hopefully not our last podcast.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody, and
thank you for having
stay
us.
excited.
Thank you.
Thank you.